So Men in Black Most Wanted brings the iconic franchise into VR with a mix of stealth, puzzles, and slick alien blasting combat. We have things from gravity gloves to the iconic neuralizer to full-on firefights and boss encounters. The game is actually way harder than it looks as well. It slowly builds and adds more creatures and more problems. It's pretty darn cool to enter the Men in Black universe, and especially when this has been developed by the iconic studio Coatsink. So the footage you're going to see in this review is up to the first big fight, so you can see what the game is all about with minimal spoilage, and you'll see how the game progresses, and if you want to check it out, I will leave links down below with the SteveKnows discount code as well if you are interested. So locking in, I boot up Men in Black Most Wanted on the Quest 3. I'd already passed through the training and the prologue sections, which taught me about simple mechanics, but it also gave me the setup for the game, which is that you're an employee of this alien agency set to find aliens on the Force's Most Wanted list, hence the name Most Wanted. Sorry to disappoint those of you that thought we'll be racing cars. The central hub of the office was pretty darn cool because the office comes alive. As you progress, the office kind of packs out a bit more and actually feels like a living, breathing agency. In it, you have the armory where you practice your abilities and weapon customization, because you'll find these floppy disks around on the levels that allow you to modify your weapons. And I loved the animation. It showed there was care in this game, so instead of just a light popping up when you want to modify your weapon, an alien pops up and drags the tray with your gun in it to the back to modify it. It's that attention to detail that I love in this game and what I've come to expect from Coatsink. On the other side of the office, you have the kitchen. What is an office without a kitchen? So if you want to eat or drink, you'll go there. But you're faced with wide, spread-legged creatures. So if that's your vibe, it's your vibe. I'm watching you. Then you have your partner's office and your office opposite each other. In your office, you can customize your character. You can change the skin, the tone, the voice. But the main hub is where you have your boss looking down on you, making sure that you are working, is where the mission selector is. You have the map on the right and the most wanted list on the left. So after I've learnt the lay of the land in the main hub, I go out to catch my first bad guy, Ren. So I'm sent on a job and it's at a motel. And immediately you see the art style of this world. It just hits me, that comic book style, that cel-shaded look that I have always found runs really well on Quest hardware. And in this, I like it. It's clean, it's readable, it's punchy, it's smooth. But something that I noticed that kind of bothered me is if you look at your watch where your health is and your objective, the elbow doesn't raise. Instead, your wrist just kind of bends. So someone missed the trick there. Although I do know VR joints are a little bit tricky to replicate, but hopefully that's something that could be sorted because it seems like an obvious thing that they missed. So at this abandoned motel with a sad American pool with no water, one floaty, and a deflated watermelon thing, I'm not sure whether to find aliens or call a health inspector. The point I'm getting at is the world has character. It feels alive. It feels like people are living there, so which is a positive. It's not just grey walls like the back rooms. So after blackmailing the receptionist because, well, you are a shady agent, I was escorted to a facility door that required hacking. And there are a couple of methods of hacking that I came across. One was a fingerprint scanner. So you use a scanner that guides you to certain locations where you'll scan fingerprints that are on alien parts dotted around the environment. I also came across this one where you have a mouse in your left hand and the scanner in the right hand, and you control this bug that has to avoid these pits and what looks like antivirus software. I felt that mechanic was awesome. It was a method of control that only VR could provide. And again, it's like they had thought of it. It easily could have been a panel where you control a line, but they made it fit the VR medium. I also noticed the game had several modes of play that you get to jump between to keep things fresh. So the first one is you play a cop, essentially. You speak to people, you try to remain undetected whilst investigating. This police work kind of offered a bit of fun, but what I liked was the stealthy elements where you can go into a room and shut the blinds so people can't see you using alien tech. You can pull open and walk through vents. But if you do get caught, that's where you get to use the iconic neuralizer on them. So if you've been caught, you pull out the neuralizer and then they just stare at you like they've eaten far too many brownies. I laughed a lot when I first saw this. And their eyes follow you like they're a dog and you're waving a treat in front of them. So you'll flash them and they'll forget what you've been up to. So part of the policing work is also you have to interrogate people. This was an interesting addition because I've not experienced this in a VR game. So you had to grab someone by the chest, shake them, and then give them a good old slap. A backhand and a front hand. Your choice. And I am sorry to spoil that for you because it was so amusing when I first engaged in it. So in this mode, you're essentially completing puzzles and things get more complex as you progress. Of course, as you'd expect. The other mode is, of course, combat that's kind of split into two, where one is stealthy play. Stealthy play, you're trying to achieve objectives whilst remaining hidden. So you can use vents, you can crouch, you can walk past people undetected, but you can also take people out. So enemies have weak points on them, like a cord you can pull where they disappear into another dimension. Or like me, anytime you try and be stealthy, it ends up in chaos. It's Mr. Willie in the house. That's Will Smith. So that sounded wrong, but I was talking about Will Smith. And what I mean is when all hell breaks loose, you do have the option of using gunfire, a weapon, and you can shoot them. They then explode and their green goo just goes all over the walls. You can also leverage the environment and use explosive red barrels, or you can use your magnetically charged gloves so you can pick up elements in the environment and fire them at the enemy. There are also other methods of combat that you unlock as you progress as well, but spoilers. The game also eases you in. You start to get more of a variety of enemies as you progress, which is a classic recipe, of course, but they look to have taken some inspiration from some big hitting VR titles, such as these creatures that jump on you and they stick to you, and you have to pull them off and hold a gun against them and pop them, and they come in numbers. And when you're facing enemies that are shooting back at you and you're trying to run away, these leech-like aliens are sucking your blood. They hurt, they do damage, and it adds to the chaos. So then you have to heal yourself, and to do that you have this spray and you'll find refills dotted around the place, and I enjoyed using this spray as if it was deodorant, just kind of an aerosol can, and you spray yourself. You just have to open your inventory and grab the item you want to use, which actually I don't know if it was me being a complete idiot, but when you select an item, it replaces the item that's on your hip. So the item on your hip becomes like a last item used, a quickly accessible last item used slot. And I wish it would just stay as my gun on my hip. So what I ended up doing was not using what was on my hip at all and just grabbing from the menu when I needed something. The weapon reloading in this game as well has some variety. I tried some rapid fire weapons in earlier versions of this build, and that has a more realistic reloading mechanic. But the S1 pistol, which is your best friend throughout the start of this game, has a style of play built in that is designed to keep up the pace of combat, because you flick out the ammo and then you whip the gun to reload and close the cartridge in. And it's a bit like you are John Connor and Arnie at the start of Terminator 2. So bouncing between these styles of play keeps things fresh, but ultimately it's leading you to an intense boss fight. I wasn't expecting the game to be as tricky as it is, because on the surface it looks rather whimsical, but it can be proper. I also really liked the world. It had variety, it was expansive, it was like it had been lived in. You're not just wandering tiny halls that are repeats of the same environment. You're running around motels, the bedrooms, you're in underground facilities, you're in an office, you're in a laboratory, you're at a docking station, you're in the sewer. And again, it just showed me that the game had forethought and there was care that went into this. The worldly interactions in the game, they're not crazy. You can pick up some things, but you can't pick up absolutely everything. There are mugs dotted about, grab some books, some donuts, some boxes. It's a little limited in that regard, but also we're not here playing a physics-based experience. We're here to catch aliens, so I'm glad there's at least some. My favourite thing was when I needed a snack, you'd punch a random number into this vending machine, and I was like, oh, what's it going to pop out? And it was tuna. Classic. Although I actually really love tuna mayo. Don't judge. Comment. Comment if you're a fan, or if you're not. Moving away from the main game here, there is also an invasion mode you can play with friends. So it's offering a multiplayer horde-like experience. So if you have friends and you want something to play together or to add some replayability to the game, you can enjoy that mode. And speaking of replayability, the game also has collectibles and it even has a mission ranking. So if you're a completionist and you want to 100% everything, you can replay the titles to look for all these secret items and try and get the max score for each level. There are a few things that bothered me though that are beyond what I've mentioned. So the NPCs, they're not very animated in the face, and the subtitles are in like grey boxes, almost like it was an afterthought. I wasn't a fan of that, because when you're doing policing work and you have to listen to people and talk to people, it can sometimes be a little dull. But they do give you the option to skip, and then you get a prompt after on your watch about what to do next. So, well, if you don't want to listen, move on. So overall, Men in Black, though, was pretty awesome. The puzzles were rewarding, the gameplay was smooth, I think it looked decent. They also fixed a bunch of issues that were in the earlier build. That was great to see. The visuals are crisp. I love that art style on the quest. There is also humor in this game, such silly moments that make it feel true to the original franchise. That family banter that's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It was also really cool to use a neuralizer after all these years wanting one. This was a pretty solid standalone experience. It's not groundbreaking, pushing the boundaries of the quest to its limit, but it is offering a good old gaming recipe that has clearly been done with love and care. They've created a world that I kind of felt invested in, and I have been thinking about playing the game again when I've not been playing it, which is a good sign. So I do believe overall a pretty solid title, definitely better than the majority of stuff out there. But anyway, thank you for watching to the end of the video, checking out Men in Black Most Wanted and what it's all about. Please let me know what you think down below in the description. If it's your vibe, hit subscribe for more games, news, and reviews. I'll leave links and a discount code down below if you are interested. But more importantly, guys, have a great week. Happy gaming. Good day!